Hello, sorry about that. We think we lost our Wi-Fi connection partway through our stream. So the rest of our service we're going to try and upload later on. So hopefully you'll be able to catch it later on in the day. So I wanted to talk to the children today about a Christmas present that I was given a few years ago from my husband's nan. My husband's nan, she gave me an amaryllis gift set for Christmas. And the funny thing was that same Christmas, I gave my grandma an amaryllis gift set for Christmas as well. So my grandma and I planted this amaryllis at about the same time as each other, and we decided that we were going to have an amaryllis growing competition. So we both planted it about the same time. We would send pictures back and forwards to each other, showing at what point in its growth this amaryllis was at. And we were having a competition between whose flower would bloom first. Now my grandma won. Her flower bloomed first. But I'm going to show you, hopefully I'm going to get up to the camera and show you a picture of what my amaryllis looked like 2 years ago. I'm going to have to show it to both cameras because we've got two on the go. So there's the one, that's my beautiful red amaryllis. And can you see it on the other one now? Is that in focus? Yeah? Okay, so this was my amaryllis 2 years ago. I loved watching that amaryllis. I'd sit in my conservatory really enjoying it. But eventually, my amaryllis died. Now, I felt kind of sad when it died because actually the box had said that it would only bloom once. So when it had died back, I felt sad about that. However, I didn't have the heart to just throw this flower out. So we wanted to make sure that it really was dead before we got rid of it. So we left it on the windowsill in our conservatory, and we carried on watering it, and we cut it back, and we continued to look after it just in case there was any hope that anything might happen. And for a long time, nothing did happen. But about a year later, we noticed that shoots had begun to grow out of this bulb. And eventually we had a stem, and then we had 3 buds and 3 flowers. And you know, that year I enjoyed my amaryllis even more than I had the first year because I hadn't expected it to grow. I hadn't expected it, and all of a sudden I had 3 beautiful flowers. Eventually the flowers died, and we cut it back, and we continued to water it again because I could not just throw it out, and I wanted to see what was going to happen. Would you like to see my amaryllis this year? Here we go, down here. So it was only supposed to bloom the once, but look, I'm going to have to get up again and show you. There's no flower on it yet, but it has started, the 3rd year running, it has started to grow again. And I'm super excited and hoping that I might see another beautiful flower. I knew that was going to happen eventually. You know what's funny? We were laughing about this before we started filming because this chair, every time I sit on it, it does that. Yeah. And we knew it was going to happen sometime. There you go, children, you can laugh at me for the week. I've got to remember where I was now.
In church.
So, my plant has started to grow for the 3rd year running. I would like to tell you that this is because my husband and I are fantastic gardeners and we can just make things grow beautifully. However, it just isn't true. There's a verse, a passage in the Bible from Ecclesiastes 3, and it says this: "There is a right time for everything. Everything on earth has its special season. There is a time to be born and a time to die. There is a time to plant and a time to pull up plants. There is a time to kill and a time to heal. There is a time to destroy and a time to build. There is a time to cry and a time to laugh. There is a time to be sad and a time to dance. There is a time to throw away stones and a time to gather them. There is a time to hug and a time not to hug. There is a time to look for something and a time to stop looking for it. There is a time to keep things and a time to throw things away. There is a time to tear apart and a time to sew together. There is a time to be silent and a time to speak. There is a time to love and a time to hate. There is a time for war and a time for peace. Everything right from the beginning of time has its place. Everything is in God's plan and everything is under his control. I never expected my amaryllis to grow that second year or even the third year, but it did because that was its season. If it is meant to happen, it will happen. This amaryllis grew despite what I expected, despite what I thought, because it was God's intention that it should. It's easy for us to look at our situation now and wonder what is going on. It's easy to believe that God has lost it and things are out of control, that somehow God has let go of this world. But this Bible passage tells us that there is a time for everything. It didn't have a time just for the good things. There was a time for everything, the good and the bad. Everything is happening within God's timing, within God's control. The passage said there is a time to hug and a time not to hug. It's kind of appropriate right now.
No hugging.
No hugging. This is the time to not hug. There is a time to be born and a time to die. There is a time to laugh, like when I sat on the chair and it made that noise, and a time to cry. Everything has its place, everything has its purpose, and it all happens within God's control. Now, I don't know if my amaryllis is going to grow again next year. It might do and it might not. So this year, when it does bloom, I'm going to enjoy it as much as I possibly can. And if this is the last year that it blooms, I will know, I'll be sad that it's not going to bloom again, but I will know that it's done that because that's what God has told it to do, because it was within God's control and it fulfilled its purpose. It did everything it was meant to do. And when it's finished, it's not just going to die away, it's not just going to be finished with. I will remember it. I will enjoy the photographs I have of it. I will remember the time that my grandma and I had a competition about it, and I will enjoy everything that it was. Things happen around us that we don't like. Things are out of our control, but they are still within God's control. Things happen that we don't understand. Most of the time we don't understand what's going on because we can't see the whole picture. I'm going to give Tracy, I've got a puzzle piece here, I'm going to see if I can try and hold it up against the camera first, but then I'm going to give it to Tracy. Here we go. So this is the puzzle piece. Can you see? See if you can be thinking about what that puzzle piece might be. Oh, sorry, too high. You got it? Okay. I'm going to give it to Tracy, and I wonder whether Tracy might be able to guess or work out from that piece what the puzzle is, what picture it was.
Well, there's pretty pink patterns. I don't know, diamond shapes, snowflake shapes, and then there's a rope, a piece of rope, and a hairy chair.
A hairy chair.
No idea. I can't tell you what the whole picture is. No.
So you don't know what the whole picture is?
No.
Okay, let me show you. This is the picture. It is a frozen.
It's
puzzle.
a hairy coat, not a hairy.
It's a hairy coat. Here we go. Here is the puzzle. This was a piece that Tracy had, but she could not tell what the entire picture is. And that is exactly the position that we are in. We see, when we think that things are out of control and God has lost it, we're seeing one piece of the puzzle and we don't see how it all fits together. It's impossible from that one piece to know what the whole picture is. We just have to trust that the great puzzle maker does know the entire puzzle and knows how it all works together.
So there we are. That's the Sunday school lesson that was meant to be live streamed, and we were going to sing the blessing to you. So I'm going to challenge Mary now. We're going to sing our traditional end of service blessing. Forgive our singing. I'll get Mary to start. Ricky and Paul can join in. David at the back there. And then hopefully we'll see you again next week. Remember, the thoughts for the day will appear every day. And there will also be a message about how you can give to the church that will appear on Facebook as well. So, over to you, Mary.
May the peace of the Lord Christ go with you, wherever he may send you. May he guide you through the wilderness, protect you through the storm. May he bring you home rejoicing, and the wonders he has shown you. May he bring you home rejoicing, once again into our doors.
God bless.